Freedom House gives Albania 76 out of 100 possible points for political rights and civil liberties. The Prime Minister urges the European Union not to delay the funding procedures set by the Donors Conference for Reconstruction. Five people were arrested during a coded broker operation accused of causing damage to the state at a cost of 20 million Albanian lek. It's 6 o'clock on Wednesday, the 4th of March, 2020. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to the English edition of Ora News. My name is Christopher, bringing you the only update of the local Albanian news translated into English. President Meta's decree revising the law on constitutional appointments will be voted on by the Socialists at the March 19th session, 4 days later than the President Meta's deadline. But despite Ilir Meta swearing in before the populace, it is impossible for the majority to dissolve the parliament. While the institution of the President advises the SP that in this situation can only pray to the Almighty. Although the ruling majority denies being intimidated by Ilir Meta's decisions in the March 15th deadline, the actions show the opposite. To avoid a possible confrontation with the President of the Republic, the SP will not rush to consider the decree on the sworn-in law for judges and prosecutors. I hope that the language of the decree does not include the language of the street. I believe that if the 19th session in the next session is ready, head of state pledges to citizens at Boulevard Martyrs of the Nation, that if there is no reflection of citizens, then sign of the decree on the dissolution of Parliament, Talon Bala remains Ilir Meta, who is under investigation. The Albanian Parliament dismisses the President and the dismissal process is certified by the Constitutional Court. The President of the Republic, in popular language, skirts the Assembly. The Socialists do not view the President's manifestation as a protest against the left government, but as a measure of the political power of the opposition. This is about an internal race within the opposition. Within the opposition, a race for its leadership has begun. We have so far recognized Basha as the leader of the opposition. After this election process is over with the opposition, we know who the new opposition leader is. In response to the socialist statements, the President's spokesman via Facebook status urges Talon Bala to not plead with God during people into problematic. Political clashes, governance without real opposition, and a weak fight against corruption continue to lower the level of Albanian democracy in the global rankings. Freedom House gives Albania 67 out of 100 possible points for political rights and civil liberties. Democracy in Albania is estimated to be fragile and only partly free even in 2020. In a report by the U.S. organization Freedom House, Albania has lost points in the quality of democratic governance, with 67 out of 68 points taken last year. Under the subcategories of electoral process, pluralism or political participation, and functional government, the country scores 27 out of 40 points in total, while freedom of expression and belief, organization rights, rule of law, and individual rights are rated 40 out of 60 points in total. This is attributable in large part to the strong political clashes that took place during the year in the country. The opposition came out of the parliament, boycotted it, and handed it over to mandates that controversial legislation, such as the anti-defamation packages, be properly scrutinized and challenged. Noah Boyan, study coordinator for Europe and Asia, told Voice of America in an interview. According to the expert, the opposition should play a more active role in governments, even though it is not in power, while the whole society and the executive should do more in the fight against corruption. Corruption at both high and low levels is often not investigated and prosecuted. Organized crime continues to be a widespread challenge, so we are not seeing the level of progress we want to see on these issues. He points in some of the country's efforts to open talks with the European Union, explains the Freedom House analyst. In the Western Balkans, Kosovo improved by 2 points last year, in Northern Macedonia by 4 points, while Montenegro and Serbia declined, and Bosnia and Herzegovina remained in place. Global Freedom House estimates that the consolidated democracies are on the decline, with the world experiencing worsening political rights and civil liberties for the 14th year in a row. The three lowest countries in the world are considered the Nordic, Finland, and Sweden and Norway, while Syria is considered the weakest democracy. The Prime Minister, Edi Rama, urges the European Union not to delay the funding procedures set by the Donors Conference for Reconstruction after the November 26th earthquake. According to the Prime Minister, priority will be given to families in the village who have lost individual housing and schools, and then will concentrate on urban areas. Failure is something that should not be part of the reconstruction vocabulary. Success, rather, should be the key word. I am sure we will make it by a reality by assuming that the EU is faster than usual in terms of the need to deliver results, because it is a program where time is of the essence. People can't wait long. Procedures, of course, have to be respected, but sometimes they are so long that they can naturally be afforded when it comes to other projects, but not when it comes to homes and schools. So the goal is to bring back those people who have lost their individual homes and celebrate the new year in their homes. We want children to go to school at the beginning of the year. I know it's ambitious, and we'll do everything to make it a reality, but no later than this year. Let's also start step by step with those more complex areas with multi-apartment buildings in urban communities. Rama guaranteed the countries that have contributed to the reconstruction process that not only their funds will be properly spent, but also of the Albanian taxpayers. For this, he demanded more monitoring for the European Union. I do not want to simply make sure that our taxpayers or your contributions money is spent properly, but I also want through this community to ensure that Albanian taxpayers' money is spent properly. It will therefore commend the U.S. government for having accepted considering the proposal that I have made to establish a Transparency Academy. I would also like to see the EU do the same to add experience, to add eyes and monitoring to the process of spending, execution, from the bidding processes to the process of product oversight and acquisition. Five people accused of causing damage to the state-of-the-art at a cost of 20 million Albanian lek were arrested during a coded broker operation with two accomplices also sought after. Employees of the Administration on Private and Entrepreneurs are accused of registering 4 fictitious entities during 2018 and 2019 in order to obtain substantial monetary value to the detriment of the state. Police say that they made a fictitious sales of 130 million Albanian lek and through value-added tax caused the state financial damage of about 20 million Albanian lek. Shpat Agoli, administrator of the company S. Agoli Group, Samuel Hadini, specialist in the General Directorate of Taxes, Elisan Alushi, administrator of the accounting office in a private firm, Leonar Runa, economist at the accounting office, and Adrian Keke are persons who have made the fictitious subject statements. Tirana Tax Directorate said after the police operation that fraudulent schemes will be investigated by also verifying the legality of the actions of the system employees themselves. At the border crossing point of Kapstica, meanwhile, a person attempting to make a significant sum of money abroad was detained. After the seizure of banknotes worth 1,580,000 lek, Korça police have investigated 38-year-old Ervis Dorzi, who had possessed the amount of money he did not declare at the border. The 38-year-old was found with money in his personal bag during a second-line search. The municipality of Tirana opens the tender with 7.7 billion Albanian lek for the rehabilitation of the Parku Zoologique. After years of being left to fate, Mayor Veliaj envisions, among other things, a restaurant and bar, which, based on a previous experience, appears to be a private business. Meanwhile, investments are being made with public funds. Tirana, 7 billion and 770 million Albanian lek are planned by Mayor Eurian Veliaj for the rehabilitation of the zoo. To this is added the VAT tax, increasing the bill even further. After being left at the mercy of fate, where one may find old benches or thrown objects instead of animals, and after the clashes for the botanical garden, Veliaj provides yet another tender to conduct business. What impresses us the most is not only the selection criteria of the company, which we will highlight in the coming days. The fact that there will be a bar and a restaurant in the zoo park garden is ridiculous. Certainly, there is no indication in the published documents on who will manage the restaurant, but the business is in a public-funded space. Although along the main trail, a snack bar is proposed as a breakpoint, refreshment, and toilets. Picnic areas have few benches for emergencies and mostly green grasses in the midst of high greenery, read the official public procurement agency. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join us again every Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. On behalf of Ora News, thank you and good night.